All right, everybody. Hey, our next speaker here at Note Camp is not only an investor, but somebody who's also very avid about saving time, saving money, and helping you squeeze more of your deals, squeeze more of your time. And this guy is an avid investor, Indiana and others places out there, and that's what I love about having him on here. He's got your best interest in mind. Is create something I think that you guys will absolutely love when it comes to your different deal flow, tracking things like that. And he's going to show you how to simplify your deal pipeline with REsimpli. And so we're honored to have the CEO of REsimpli, Sharad Mehta, join us here on Note Camp today. So Sharad, glad to have you, my friend. Hopefully you're having a good Sunday, not working too hard, huh?
Yeah, thank you, Scott, for having me on this, man. No, I'm excited, man. Excited to talk to your audience and kind of share what we have put together. And, I basically put together a small presentation, like a 5-step to like close your next wholesale deal. So hopefully, the people on the call will get some value out of it.
Awesome. Yeah. If you want to share your screen, and we'll go in there.
Sure.
And you want to take questions at the end or as you go through things, Sharad?
As we go through, like whatever is, whatever works for your audience, I'm open for that. Let me do. All right. Cool. Let me know when my screen's visible.
Perfect. Looks good.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. So, hey, again, Scott, thank you for having me on this call. So I'm going to go through this, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to jump in, Scott. Like if you can just let me know if any question pops up. I'm not make sure whether, fine. I'll try to keep an eye on the chat, but yeah, if you can let me know, that'll be great. So just a little bit about myself. That's me and my son. I'm the owner and founder of REsimpli. I'm an active real estate investor in Northwest Indiana market. So anybody who's not familiar, it's right outside of Chicago, practically a suburb of Chicago, but it's in Northwest Indiana. So I used to live in downtown Chicago, and Northwest Indiana is about 30 to 45 minutes outside of Chicago. I live in Toronto, Canada, but I still do all my investing in Northwest Indiana. I started investing in 2010. I've done over 750 deals, and now I do about 30, 40 deals a year. Mostly we close on the properties, and then we either flip them to other investors as turnkey properties, or we flip them to retail homeowner. And then I own a property management company. I have about 50 rental properties. So every year I'll keep a couple of properties for myself and sell the other. And then with REsimpli, the goal is, we're on a mission to help real estate investors close more deals. That's basically what our goal is. And
is that your why there, Sharad, with your little man? He's taking it over the real estate empire from you at some point.
Yeah, we'll see, man. Whatever he wants to do, but yeah, he's definitely my why. He's 5.5, and then I have a 2-year-old daughter. So yeah, I love kind of getting up and doing every day for my family. having them part of this. So that's just
awesome.
Keeps me very, very excited. So
awesome.
Cool. All right, guys. So this is like actual, stats based on. So at this point, we work with over 1,000 real estate companies from nationwide, and then we work with a lot of newbie investors, and then just looking at other stats, more than 90% of real estate investors actually never ever actually close a deal. They get every information, they have all the information that they need, but they never actually end up closing a deal. So the goal for us is, like, how do we get people in that 10% group that actually ends up closing a deal? So that's kind of what I'm going to talk about in this presentation. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself, I'm totally okay. I want to keep it as interactive as possible. So then we put together this 5 steps to close your next wholesale deal. And I'm going to kind of walk you through step by step on what we do in our business, and then what we notice a lot of other investors who are successfully closing deals they're doing in their business. And then who is this for? This is for real estate investors who are looking to buy off-market properties, just getting started, or people that are doing less than 1 deal a month. Basically, that's kind of this is geared towards. All right, so 5 steps to close your next wholesale deal. First step is you want to start building your marketing list. Second is you want to stack and skip trace it, and then you want to start marketing your lead. A third step, then you want to start automate your lead follow-up, and then on the 5th step, just make offers like that. Those are all the things that you actually control on your own. Then hopefully, as more offers you make, then you'll have it's a numbers game. You'll have people, hopefully, you start seeing some accepted offers. So let's get started. So first step is build your marketing list. So there's a few different ways you can build your marketing list. There's driving for dollars. There are list aggregators like ListSource and PropStream that you can use. County records are really good. Building department, utility department, those are all the sources that you can use to build your marketing list. And then the key is, like, the harder the list is to obtain, the better it is. If it's a simple list, like, then you can go online and you can easily publicly find that list. Chances are it's going to have a lot of competition. There's going to be a lot of investors going after it. So the harder it is to obtain a list, we notice generally everything else being equal, the better that list performs. And then this is kind of, when you're building your marketing list, these are the kind of things you want to look into. Again, you can do this on PropStream or ListSource. You want to, pick your initially the first step you want to do is you want to pick your target city, zip codes, neighborhood, whatever that might be for you, depending on where you live. And then you typically want to go after people that have at least 30% or more equity. And then they should have at least minimum 5 years of ownership. They must have owned their property for 5 years. And then, owner type, you could go after homeowners or absentee. Generally, everything else being equal, absentee tends to have a little bit more motivation to sell their property. Then you can look after ownership type, whether it's individually owned, corporate, or trust. Again, everything else being equal, you will have better chances of closing, finding a motivated seller who owns their property individually versus the corporate or trust. People that own in corporate trust generally tend to be a bit more sophisticated. Vacant houses, then you can look at financial distress points like foreclosure. Are they behind on taxes? Any life events that they're going through, whether it be like divorce or probate. So this is kind of what you want to look into. The equity of 30% or more, from a wholesale point of view, it's important because when you're trying to buy a property, let's say, you have a $100,000 property that you're looking to buy. You don't really want to pay more than 70,000 on it because you want to have a little bit of margin on for your profit and your wholesale if you're looking to wholesale or whether you're looking to flip. And then the 5 years ownership is important because typically people have some life event that happens within 5 years. So if they've owned the property for 5 years, they'll start to get some motivation to sell their property. So that's kind of what we look at on a very high level, what we need to look to build our marketing list. So all right, so once we build the marketing list, once we know where we need to pull the list from, and then the next step is we know, okay, what exact criteria we're going to use. The next step is, okay, what should we do with our marketing list that we put together? The next step is you want to stack it and skip traces. So essentially, if you're not familiar with list stacking is a combination of all your lists using, software like REsimpli, or you can do it in Excel, or, there are other ways to do that. But essentially, the key is, let's say if you start buying your marketing list from buying it from ListSource, PropStream, you buying it, you have a list of people that are on your absentee vacant list. You have people that are going through a probate, you have people going through divorce, people going through bankruptcy. Now, the key is, like, you want to know, once you start stacking your list, once you start combining them, you want to know, is there any particular property address that tends to show up on all those different lists? So imagine if you have, John Doe, who owns 123 Main Street, and you notice that that property is vacant because you put a vacant list. That property is, absentee because you put an absentee list, but you also notice that that property is going through probate, divorce, and bankruptcy. Now, everything else being equal, there's a much higher likelihood that John Doe with 123 Main Street property has a much higher likelihood of selling their property than somebody who just has a property with 30% equity. That's it. So that's kind of what you're doing with list stacking is you're helping it helps you kind of build a super targeted marketing list. So especially when you're starting out, you have limited marketing budget that you want to spend. So you want to go after list of people that are that have multiple motivation points. So think of every, financial distress or every, list that you pull as a motivation point. So whether it be, your foreclosure, if they're going through foreclosure, that's a motivation point that they have. If they're going through probate, that's another motivation point they have. So those are the things that you want to look into, and list stacking kind of helps you, it builds you a very, very specific target list. So instead of targeting to 10,000 people you might have, you could just target to 1,000 people, so just 10% of the list, but they happen to have like 3 or 4 motivation points because you've kind of stacked them on top of each other. And then the next thing is you want to skip trace them. So skip trace is basically, the idea of it's basically tracking down the information of the homeowner. So once you pull the list, so if you use, let's say PropStream or list source to pull your data, or you get your data from public record. So what you essentially get is you get the property address and you get the owner's name and you maybe get the mailing address, but you don't have their contact information. You're going to start contacting them. So skip tracing is essentially used to trace contact information for property owners. And then from there, you could start contacting them. You could start sending them, you could do SMS marketing, you could do cold calling, you could do RBM. There's, a whole bunch of different ways you can do that. But skip tracing is kind of, it helps you, the list that you have. And let's say you have the list of 10,000 people. After you track them, you come down with a list of 1,000 people. So of those 1,000 people, you skip trace them and you get results of those, contact information for those 1,000 people. Now, what you can start doing is you can actually start contacting them and calling them and saying, hey, Mr. Seller, would you be interested in selling your property? I noticed that, the property is in foreclosure. I would love to make you a cash offer. And then you can go from there. So because you have their contact information. So once you've done that, then the next step is how do you reach your list of your target list of prospects? So that's the next thing. Then the next thing is once you've skip traced it, once you've stacked it, skip traced it, now the next step is you start actually marketing to your prospects. So there's, these are some of the most commonly popular marketing channels that we noticed through REsimpli that people use to get their deals. Direct mail, cold calling, SMS, and RBM. Those are like, four of the top most commonly used marketing channels. And then I've just put together this, a chart of what you can see, like cost, what type of, whether it's inbound, outbound, lead timeline, whether it's intrusive, how much competition there is, effectiveness. So if you look at direct mail, for example, it's high cost. It's an outbound marketing, where you're sending out, you are initiating the contact to reach out to those people. And then it's a short-term lead timeline because you send out direct mail. Let's say you send out something today and it gets delivered, end of the week. And then if somebody's interested, they'll call you back. So at least from the time you send the mail to the time you start getting some people to call you, whether they interest you or not, a separate case, but at least, you start getting them to call you. It's a short-term process. And then it's not intrusive compared to like cold calling and SMS, which is very intrusive. You're calling and texting people. And then it's not like competition, but it's medium competition just because it's a little bit higher cost. So you won't see as many people doing direct mail as you might see people doing, cold calling and SEO. And effectiveness, it's medium to high. We definitely notice, people that are consistently doing deals, we notice they're definitely doing some sort of direct marketing. They might not be getting all of their deals, but they're one thing that we notice are consistently doing direct mail. I'm talking about people that are doing 10, 15, 20, 30 deals a month in, month out. They have some piece of direct mail. And then versus if you look at something like, PPC or Google Ads, again, cost is going to be very high. This is an inbound marketing because you're basically placing ads or you're doing, online and SEO. And then you have the seller that's initiating the contact, like you have inbound contact coming from the seller. You're not reaching out to a particular person versus that's going to be direct mail, cold calling, SMS. You're sending out to a specific person. Online SEO or PPC, you're just like running ads, and then you have people contacting you. PPC and Google Ads tend to be short term. You can just turn them on or off at any given time. It's not intrusive. Competition is definitely high. I will say that, looking at last 2 or 3 months in my particular business and talking to other investors that are using REsimpli, definitely PPC, Google Ads, and there's some other paper lead channels that are starting to perform really well as the market is starting to change. We're noticing more and more motivated sellers coming through PPC, paper lead. It is effectiveness. I would say, it's medium, but it's definitely going towards high as the market is switching. So that's this is a good chart just to kind of get a sense of, comparison of different marketing channels. But you also have to look at, what works for your time, what works for your budget, and also what works for your personality. For example, if you're starting out, for me, someone like me, I'm not very comfortable doing cold calling. I might be comfortable doing, direct mail or PPC, Google Ads, online SEO. So I might be comfortable with that. But personally, I might not be comfortable with cold calling and SMS. So that's something you have to look at as, as an investor, kind of what you feel comfortable with. But I will tell you that, let me see, there's a couple of questions. Yeah, so PPC is pay per click. The ads that you see, Google Ads and stuff. So those are your PPC. Sorry. So this is, I would say, people ask a lot of times, like, what's the best marketing channel to use? I always say, choose the marketing channel that you can stick with the longest. Hands down, that every marketing channel works regardless of at what scale it works. Whether it's direct mail, PPC, your pay per click, your SEO, whether it's cold calling, SMS. Just choose the marketing channel that you can stick with for longest. If you try direct mail for a month and then you give up and then you go into cold calling, you try that for a month, then you do SMS, then you do some PPC, then nothing is going to work. Then regardless of which market, you might get lucky, where you might get, there's going to be like 1 or 2% of the 2% of the sellers that will, that would want to call you and sell you the property on the first contact, but that's very, very, very rare. I'll go into that slide where majority of the sales come from, like 6, 8, 10 touches that you've done. But just whatever marketing channel that you feel comfortable with, looking at your time, budget, and personality, that's the one you should always go with. Let me see if there's any question. Email is not on the list, just particularly because, getting right email addresses. So David had a question, is email on that list? You could do that, but just we noticed that, when we're skip tracing owners' information, they're very, very low. The email addresses that we get, they tend to be not always accurate. And then with the spam filters that you have for email, we notice that the deliverability, the open rate is not as high. We definitely use email on the follow-up, which I'll get into next right here. So let me get into that. Okay, so let's say, whatever marketing that you did, now you have people calling you and saying, hey, Sharad, I'm interested in selling my property. I got your postcard, you called me, texted me, or I saw your ad. So you have these leads calling you or contacting you about their property. So the next step is what you should do with them next. So, you're talking to these leads. One thing you got to make sure is, this is really, really important. You have to have an automated lead follow-up sequence, like some sort of automation where, it could be just something as simple as you have a notepad, you have a pen, you write down everything that, you need to follow up. You could do that. You could put it on your Google Calendar, but just you have to have a way where you're following up. So this is like money is in the follow-up that we notice, like 75 to 80% of the leads that people are converting using REsimpli are coming from the follow-up. Like it's across the board, consistently vast majority of the leads that are actually selling their property are coming from the follow-up. And then this is actual, across industries where 2% of your sales are actually made on the first contact. So think of it like, the people that, and this is like people that are actually interested in selling their property. Then you're getting a whole bunch of people that are saying, hey, take me off your mailing list. So I'm not even counting that. People, when you contact them, only 2% of those that actually are interested, they would be interested in selling their property on the first contact. Look at 3% would be on the second, 5% on the third, 10% on the fourth, and then 80% of the sales are coming from 5th to 12th contact. And majority of the people, they will give up after your first, second, or third contact. So imagine like how many deals, people are leaving on the table just by not following up. So that's where it becomes super, super important to have some sort of a follow-up. If you're just going to send direct mail to a list of people that you have one time, you're going to call them one time, SMS, email, whatever method you're using to contact them. If you're just going to do it one, you might as well not do it at all, because it's just not going to be worth it. You might get lucky every now and then, just get a deal out of it, on the first contact, you just happen to reach the person at the right time. They were, you were at the right time, right place, and then you make that deal. It's possible, but if you're doing it, just go in with the idea that you have to consistently keep following up with these leads. So these are the methods that we use: SMS, call, email, direct mail, and RBM. So David had a question about email. So we use email once initially somebody calls us and they say, hey, I'm interested. They might be interested, but let's say if they have a $200,000 house and they tell us they're interested in selling their property for 180. So that number might not work for us, but at least they're interested. So we put them on an automated lead follow-up sequence. So we tell them, hey, Mr. Seller, you wanted 180,000 for the property. But and let's say we make an offer of 150, that's the price that works her up, and they're not ready for it right now. So we will put them on a follow-up sequence where we'll just keep following up with them and just say, hey, Mr. Seller, just wanted to see if you're ready to accept the $150,000 offer. They might want 180, but then you're staying on their radar every month just by following up and letting them know you're still interested in selling their property. If their situation changes, then they will know that, okay, you're ready to sell, they're ready to sell their property and you're interested in buying. So that's all follow-up sequence is doing. It's just you're staying on their radar because you want to make sure you are the first person that they think of when they're ready to sell. They might not be ready to sell their property right now, but when they are, if you've been following up with them consistently, whether it's through SMS, calling them, emailing them, sending them direct mail, sending the RVM is ringless voicemail for pre-recorded voicemail. So that's kind of what you're doing, following up. And this is what I would say is at a minimum follow up at least every 30 days. So let's say if you get somebody who says, hey, I'm not interested right now, or how much, and they might call you and say, okay, how much are you willing to offer? You offer them 150. They say, no, it's too low. All you're doing every 30 days is just letting them know, hey, Mr. Seller, I'm still interested in buying your property. Let me know if something changes. So again, 30 days later, you might send them an email, you might call them, you might send them a direct mail, just basically letting them know hey, Mr. Seller, I'm interested in selling. Are you still interested in selling your property? I still have my cash offer available for 150,000. You never know. They might be living in, let's say, Chicago or Indiana market. They might get a really bad winter storm, and they're like, you know what? I'm done with this. I want to move down to Florida. I want to move to a warmer place, and then just because you've been consistently following up with them, they're going to call you and say, hey, are you still interested in that, in that cash offer of 150,000? I can't tell you how many times that happens with us. We keep following up. We actually have a deal that we're negotiating. We've been following up with the lead for over 650 days. So almost 2 years. Just all we're doing is just letting them know that we're interested in selling, we're still interested in buying their property. If anything changes, to let us know, and we would love to make them a cash offer. That's all we're doing, just following up with them. Again, you can use any of these marketing channels, SMS, call, email, direct mail, whatever you're comfortable with. But just the most important thing, the biggest takeaway from this is just follow up with them every 30 days, letting them know, hey, I'm interested in buying your property. So let me see if there's any questions. Is your business mostly for finding home seller, as in this example? So our businesses, we provide a software platform where that other investors use to manage their marketing, sales, and the the business side, the business management side of it. Cash offers definitely work. Not having to go through appraisal, not having to go through any contingencies make a huge difference. It's like you get an offer of, like, even when I'm selling a property, if somebody offers me, that's a $200,000 with financing and inspection and appraisal contingency, versus have an offer $190,000 cash closing in a week, I'm going to take $190,000, but it's a sure deal. So it's a huge value for the seller. We notice when we're buying properties, we notice when we're selling properties. So yeah, absolutely. And then the next thing is, once you put them, on these follow-up sequences, the most important thing is make offers on these properties. So just make offers for whatever number that works for you. Again, it might apply for a wholesale deal or whatever it might be. And it might just be, other things you're negotiating for. You only have a chance of getting the deal if you make an offer, whether it's a wholesale deal, whether you're buying a rental property, whether you're doing something with notes, whatever it might be. The only way for you to know whether you're going to get that deal or not is to make an offer, because those are the things that you control, is making an offer. You have no control whether the person that you're negotiating with on the other end, what their situation is, but you have to go based on, okay, I'm going to make an offer. Whether the other person accepts or not, that's up to them. Like the first deal that I actually ever got, this was back in August 2010 when I bought my first property. It was listed on the market for $65,000. And I kid you not, I made an offer of 20,000 because based on kind of being it being my first deal, I was being super conservative. The number just made sense for me to just maximum pay $25,000. I made an offer 20,000. I didn't care whether, the seller got offended. I made an offer 20,000, after back and forth. We actually ended up, closing that property for 22,500 or $25,000. But it was less than what my maximum offer was going to be. And then I think I put another $10,000. So I was all in $35,000 on that property. It was a 2-unit. I still own that property, rent for about $1,300 to $1,400 a month. But again, for me, my thought process, the only thing that I control right now is making that offer. I have no control whether the seller is going to accept it or not. I can just only go based on, hey, this number works for me. I'm going to make this offer. I leave it up to the seller. If it works with them, they'll accept it. If not, they won't, they'll move on. So that's all you can do. Yeah, so like you said, no contingency, like subject to financing, appraisal, home inspection. Exactly. So it has huge value when we're making our offers. Is it's not subject to any financing, it's not subject to any appraisal, it's not subject to any inspection. It's basically, if this is our offer, we're going to pay you $100,000 cash. We'll close it in a week. Here's the title company we're going to close with. You don't have to worry about anything. You can leave the house as is. And we even offer. We've done some deals where we, bought some properties from people that were moving out of town and they needed help with some moving. So we actually had a relationship with a local moving company, and we even offered, just to make the deals we did, is, hey, we will also help you move. We factor that since $100,000, we might offer 95, and we'll make it so it's like, hey, we're going to give you 95. We'll help you move. We'll take care of everything. You just tell us where you want your stuff, whatever you want. Everything else you can leave behind. So again, it still makes sure, because we have to pay a moving company, but it makes the seller's life much easier with just no hassle. They just show up to the title company. They don't even actually have to show up to the title company. We can send documents to them. They can sign it, notarize documents, send it back to the title company, and then they're just done. And we take care of everything from there. So makes a huge difference in our business. Yeah, so when you're making offers, a typical real estate investor offer looks like the cash offer, closing in 10 to 14 days. It as is, no repairs needed, and buyer is paying all the closing costs. So of course, when we're making offers, we're paying all the closing costs. We factor into a purchase price, but just make it, just make it simple for a seller. Hey, Mr. Seller, you don't have to pay any closing, or we'll pay it. We'll factor it on the buying price. We'll calculate our buying price accordingly, whatever the closing cost is. So we'll factor that in. But this is kind of what a typical offer looks like for a cash investor, a real estate investor buying properties. And then this is kind of how we calculate our offer. So our maximum offer is ARV is after repair value. So this would be, once you fix up the house, you brought it to the retail value, you've done, fix up the roof, kitchen, bathroom, whatever that might be. And so ARV is your after repair value. So you take 70% of that. So let's say if your after repair value is $200,000 for the property, so you take 70%, which is 140,000. You take out the repairs. Let's say the house needs $20,000 in order to bring it to the retail value. So you take 140 minus 20, 120, and then you subtract your wholesale fee from that. So if you're looking to wholesale that property and you want to make about, let's say, 15,000 on it, so you take $200,000 times 70%, 140 minus repairs of 20 minus wholesale fee of 15. So you have your maximum offer of $105,000 that you can offer on that property. So you go based in, I can offer 105. So you might start out with 95 and then maximum go up to 105. But anything, any offer that seller accepts below 105, that's additional profit that you have on the deal. So that's kind of what we use, a pretty standard formula that real estate investors use to calculate their, maximum offer that they can make on the property. Again, this is like the more offers you make, the higher chances that you will actually get a property under contract. So, we personally don't care, worry so much about, hey, the seller is going to get offended. We go based on, this is the number that works for us. This is the offer we're going to make based on the numbers that work for us. So we go in, we make that offer, and then we leave it there. If they don't accept it, we move them to our follow-up process and just keep following up with that, basically just letting them know, that there's still an offer that we're willing to make. We're ready to buy the property at whatever offer we made, and then just go based on that. So it's a very simple process. Just keep making offers. So we have an acquisition person on our team. The most important number for them is the KPI that we use, the data point that we use for them is they have to make offers on every single person that's interested in hitting an offer. So if somebody says, hey, I'm interested, can you make an offer? Their role is to make an offer based on numbers that work. That's it. Whether the seller accepts it or not, that's up to them, but we make that offer. All right, so that's kind of what it is. And then we have a special offer for you guys. If you guys are interested in joining REsimpli today, we're offering 50% off the first month. You guys can go to resimpli.com/WCN. We close notes, so WCN. And then if you sign up, you get 50% off the first month when you sign up. So Scott put the note in the link. Scott, did you want me to do like a quick demo?
Yeah, I'd love for you to kind of do. Yeah, let's if we can log in and walk folks through a little bit. That'd be awesome. I think you love
absolutely
the platform.
Absolutely.
And Madison, by the way, Madison's phenomenal. By the way.
Oh, thank you. Yep, she's amazing. Absolutely love working with that. So I'm glad you had great experience working with her.
Yeah, she's great.
Cool. All right. Okay. Can you guys Scott, see my screen?
Yep. If
cool.
you can
Awesome.
maybe make it a little bit bigger. Is there a way to make it a little bit bigger for you?
Okay. Yeah. So it's not letting me go.
That's okay. All right. We'll play with what we got then.
Yep. All right. So this is the dashboard when you log in. So it kind of helps you keep track of, again, the most important thing in our business, if I can say one thing, is just following up with these leads and making offers. Like that's the most important thing, is just staying on top of these. So we've made our system where, our goal is like, we don't, we always make it impossible for any lead to fall through the crack. So this system, when you log in, it tells you how many tasks that you have. So it tells me I have, in this demo account, I have 170 tasks that I do as of today that I should have completed as of today. So if I click on it, it shows me a list of every single task that I have that I should have completed as of today. So it shows me right here. So I can click on any one of them. I can click on the property address. It'll take me to that property. And then, in the dashboard. So most important thing in our business is on the acquisition side. So it tells me of the 170 tasks that I have, 15 are actually related to the leads that I've called in. So I can click right here. It shows me those 15 tasks. They're in for 6 properties, so some of them had multiple tasks. So I can click right here and I can see the tasks that I have for that specific lead, and I can just mark it completely, call the lead. And then when I go back, the number is going to change. It went down to 14. And then it shows me the count for Allison said, if you minimize both of your pictures, we can see the screen share better. Let me see. I'm not sure which picture. Scott, you know which picture Allison might be talking about?
Basically, if it's your actual face of us seeing you right now, like I just closed mine down, maybe see if it closes down. Not your screen, but see if that helps.
Is it any better? I switched my video off.
I don't know if that's, it didn't really change anything on my end. So maybe it's changing on their end. So,
okay.
And that's the chat roll box that keeps popping up, it looks like.
Yeah, I am not sure. I mean, yeah, I'm sharing the whole screen. So I'm not sure, what is showing up. Apologize, if it's not kind of showing the whole screen.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
it's all right. I think you're doing as best you can on it, and it's exactly what we did on here. I appreciate it. You're good.
Cool. Yeah, and then the other section is your open leads. So open leads are any lead that have contacted you, but you haven't contacted them. So think of it as the leads that you have where you haven't closed the loop. So it's still open. So you can click on this and it shows you all the 15 leads that you have that you haven't closed the loop on. So I have these, like, for example, this one is an offer made. I can see, right, I have some information. I can click right here and I can just close the loop on this. And then when I go back, the number is going to go down. It was 15, now it's gone down to 14. And then internal inbox would be any messages that you have from internally from your team where, your team member might have contacted you, but you haven't replied back to that message. So it'll show up here. So think of it like your inbox, your internal inbox for your team. And abandoned leads this is a really cool section. So this tells you of all the leads that you have in the system. So it shows you all the leads that are in different stages of the pipeline how many of them are not on an automated drip sequence, how many of them do not have a pending task, and how many leads do you have that are not on drip and have no pending task. So what this does is it tells you right away, like for example, if I have 6 leads in my warm leads, for example, it tells me that I have 6 leads that are not on drip. So that means, these are not on any drip seeker, nobody's following up with them. So as of right now, they're abandoned leads. So if I can go right here, I can see like these 13 leads, nobody's working on them because they're not on automated drip sequence. So that's a really important thing that a lot of investors do, is put them on an automated drip sequence. And this is what an automated drip sequence looks like. So it's kind of what I was talking about. Let me do this. Yeah.
I love this because this is really key. I think I preach that 80% of sales comes after the 5th contact. And
oh, absolutely.
With so many of us in the note business, we're getting leads in from banks and hedge funds that are sometimes that are listed in non-performing notes. So I love the fact that you're able to put this in here to, hey, if you made some offers and they didn't accept it, you can follow up in 30 days with the note seller. And especially as we get into the 4th quarter here, that's huge. And what you bid on in September is going to change in October, November, and then December. So I love this, Sharad. This makes it really easy.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, what I talked about, it was like, the presentation built around wholesaling, but it's like very universal, with the sales side of it. I mean, even if you think of it, when you might be getting like postcards or some sort of like mail from, a Toyota dealership. So you're not in the market to buy a car, but you might get like a postcard from that Toyota dealership once every quarter, just letting you know, hey, there's a sale going on. There's a sale going on. Now, 6 months later, your car breaks down. And now all of a sudden, like, you're in the market to buy a car, just naturally you're going to think of that Toyota dealership because they've just been mailing you every quarter. That's the same thing you're doing with this. It's just following up consistently, letting the seller know, whether it's on the note side, whether you're buying a note or whether you're, buying a product. It's the same idea. Keep following up. That's the only thing you can do. Just keep following us. That's everything else out of that is out of your control. But the only thing that you control is follow ups and make offers. So this is kind of what your drip sequence looks like. Like you can set it up. You can choose, you can choose direct mail. You can choose SMS, task. Task is basically a reminder to call the lead. RBM is ringless voicemail, and then you can do email. Again, you can build it out. So let's say, you can say, all right, 1 day later, I want to send out an email. And then after that, 7 days after that, I want to send an SMS. You can type in your SMS message here. And then you want to say, all right, after that, 1 week after that, I want to have a reminder for my acquisition person to call the seller. So you can build it out to as many steps as you want. And then once you are, once you have a lead that's interested, then you can choose, depending on the situation, how much information you have, you can put them on that follow-up sequence. So what the follow-up sequence will do is it will start sending them automated messages. It will automatically, like a month, a week later, send them an email. A week later, send them a text message. So you can personalize these emails, you can personalize these text messages. So it looks like it's coming from you, that you typed it up. You can say, hey, Mr. Seller, thank you for your time the other day. I just want to see if you're still interested in selling your property at 123 Main Street. So it sounds like you typed it up, and then, the person might say, okay, not right now, but at least you're constantly following up with them. And when the situation changes, they might say, hey, I'm ready to sell my property, can we talk? And at that point, you take them off that automated follow-up sequence. You call them and say, all right, what's the situation? Your situation might have changed. The offer we would have made 6 months ago is not the same offers we would be making now, just because it's a little bit different market. But at least, you have that option. You have people calling you back interested, and then you can just, again, make the offer that works for you given the situation, the market that you're in. So,
Larry asked a question here. Do you have a mobile app, and do you have a Gmail plugin which integrates with your backend?
Yes, so we do have a mobile app that you can use. And the Gmail plugin, so right now you can only send outbound email, and then when you set up your email, so think of it, but where the email is built is when you're using ActiveCampaign or using MailChimp, it's kind of like that. You verify your email address. So let's say if I email address Sharad@REsimpli.com, so only I can use it. So if you try to send an email, we're going to send a verification code to Sharad@REsimpli. You click on it to verify that you have to, then only you can use it. So that's kind of how it's built in. So,
is there a
and
limit on the number of texts that you can send out, or is that an additional cost monthly?
yeah, so there's so we have 3 plans. Every single plan comes with, depending on the plan that you're on, it comes with SMS, call minutes, phone numbers. And so if you reach over that, then we have additional minutes that you can buy. And then those minutes, additional minutes that you buy, they roll over unless you use them.
Cool. And then how many users do you get? Is it just 1, 2? If I wanted to have my VA be able to log in, would they have a separate login?
So depending on the plan, it's anywhere from like 1 user on a $99 per month plan, and then on our $199 plan you get 5 users, and then we have a plan for $499, you get unlimited users on that plan. So yeah, I mean, on a $99 plan you can always add additional people for $25 a month.
Nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah. So that's kind of what the dashboard looks like, and then we have really cool KPIs built in. So you can set how many deals you want to do. So you can track, how many you've done. You can even set your revenue goal for the year. You can set how much net income goal you want to make. And then we track everything in real time, down to the penny. So you can see if, my goal is 1.5 million of revenue, how much I've actually done year to date, what percentage I've reached, and, same thing on my net income. And then it tells me all the different marketing that I'm doing, which one is generating the most deals for me, which one is giving me the highest ROI, and then your cost per lead, cost per deal, how much money I spent, how much revenue I made, and then marketing ROIs for every dollar that I'm putting into the marketing, how much am I making on that marketing channel. So, and then you can track your other KPIs, like, how many leads you're getting, how many appointments you're going on, how many offers you're making, how many deals you are getting. And then it gives you very, very in-depth. Basically, the previous tab that I showed you is very high level. This is very, very in-depth. So you can see for every marketing channel that you're doing in your business, how much money you're spending. You can click right here and you can see, your 416,000 revenue, which properties that revenue came from. So you can track all of that, how many deals you've gotten from each. So you can click right here, and click on any one of these. And like, this is the most important data, like ROI for every dollar that you're spending on these marketing channels, how much money it's making you. So you can track all of that. And then we also have like a leaderboard, for example. So you can see everybody on your team, how much revenue have that person, has each person brought in, what's their average deal size, how many deals have they gotten, how many contracts. If you want to track like their activity, like how many SMS are they sending, you can do it by different time period. What's their average call duration? If you have, somebody on your team that you want them to be, calling leads and like basically making offers, like how long are they staying on the phone, average call duration, how long total they're staying on the phone, based on a week to week or day-to-day basis, you can track all that. And this is kind of what I was talking about on the list tracking side. So this is basically the marketing hub. So you can get your list from all these different marketing channels, put them here, and then you can start seeing, for example, this person is on these 3 lists, like absentee list, BPM demo, and then recently lead. So this kind of tells me, I pulled these 3 lists and this person showed up on these 3 lists. So this person has like, 3 times the likelihood of selling their property versus this person who's only on 1 list that I have. So you can track all of this data, and then you can do direct mail from the system. And this is what the CRM side of our system looks like. So you can manage all your leads that you have. You can manage them in different stages, no contact made, contact made, the appointments that you have set, the offers you've made, how many deals you have under contract, and then how many you've assigned to buyer on the disposition side of it. And then, you can have different stages. And then these are the properties that you have actually closed. You might be rehabbing them, looking to sell to other investors or looking to sell to homeowners. So you can track your projects. And then this is so you can call, text, email, and send ringless voicemail all from within the system. So this is kind of your call log. So if you call somebody, so if I go back to this lead, I can click right here and I can just hover on the contact, click call, and just I can call from within the system. So I don't need a separate phone system. All the calls are being recorded. All the text messages that you're sending out are being logged into the communication log. So you can always go back if you've had any communication with the lead. So for example, I could always go back And then all the recordings that I've had, I can click right here, it'll start playing the recording. Any text messages that I've sent out, any text messages that I've received from the lead, everything will be logged into the system. So you can go back at any time and, let's say if you've been following up with this lead, for example, this has been on 110 days. So imagine if you have like a whole bunch of leads that you're dealing with, it's going to be hard to kind of stay on top of, hey, what did this person say, 3 months ago? What did this person say, when I talked to them last year? So with this, it kind of keeps track of all the communication you're having, whether it be through calling, texting, emailing, it keeps track of it. You can go back, listen to that. And then we also have a file repository built in. So you can upload all your files. So think of it like Google Drive or Dropbox, but it's all built in. So you can upload all your files. You can share links. You can send it to somebody outside of the company. They can upload files. They can upload documents in the system and then manage it through that. So if, for example, when we go on an appointment, even if we do not get somebody who's ready to sell the property right now, we take pictures, we put them in the system. So we can go back if the seller calls us 6 months later, we go back and look at the files section. So we go into the pictures and see, okay, what did the house look like? So we asked them the question, hey, last time we looked at the house 6 months ago, we noticed that the plumbing needed to be replaced. Has anything changed, or does it still look like the condition that we looked at 6 months ago? So it helps you kind of just keep track of everything. So those are kind of things you can do in the system. And then the cool thing is, so I used to be an accountant before I left my job and started doing real estate investing full time. So we've actually built an accounting system built in. You can literally link up your bank account. You can go ahead, link up your bank account. Sorry, it's a demo account, but you can link up your bank account, link it up, download all your transaction, and do your full bookkeeping. So think of it as a replacement for QuickBooks, all built in. And that's how we're able to give you really good KPIs on your business and kind of what's going on. So that's a quick overview. If any of you guys have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer that.
Good stuff. I'm seeing how we can track. I'm seeing how we can track lists for potential subject to deals we reach out to, or as we get assets in from banks, and then the follow-up aspect of it by contacting the asset manager, even your borrowers. We've got a client I know that sends an automatic text message out to his borrowers to remind them to pay their mortgage payment on time.
Exactly.
To the right spot. So
yeah,
that's really cool.
Awesome. Thank you, man. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem. Questions from you guys out there. I mean, how many of you guys are using one spreadsheet or sticky notes? We all know that all you need is one sticky note to fall off to screw up some shit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, I can, like, some of those sticky notes that fall off could mean 5-6 figures in potential revenue that you lose out. It's just so easy. You never know, the person who's calling you, how motivated they are, how many properties there are, how many notes that they have that they might want to sell. So you never know. I mean, it's always just you make an offer and then just kind of follow up with them. It makes you look so much more professional when you're following up, and then just lets the other person know you have your stuff together where you're consistently following up. You're coming to that professional and then staying on top of and you're not asking them to repeat any information. You're not going through notes. Hey, can you tell me last time we talked, what did we talk? No, you have everything. You go in and say, hey, last time we talked, you listen to the call recording before you call them, and oh, last time we talked, this person was saying he wanted 180,000. Now he's saying 150. Let me see if I can try to get it for 140 and see what happens from there.
Yeah, I love it. The app of it's really cool, and how you really intertwine everything. And that's the thing is, what I like about it is that you're an investor. We get pitched software all the time from engineers who aren't investors.
Right. Oh yeah, I'm buying. I closed on 2 properties just on Thursday. So I'm buying them. Yeah, this is like day in, day out by investing business. So yeah, that's my main business. Yeah. So Linda had a question. Can you use this like a CRM with your contacts in there? Yeah, you can definitely do that. Yeah, I would say that's like one of the primary users that people have, is using it as a CRM to stay on top of your contacts.
Yep, exactly. Good stuff. Any other questions from you guys out there today? How does it record the phone conversations, David asks?
So you can choose, when you call them, you can choose, whether you want the call to be recorded. By default, it's on, just so that you know. But you can always toggle it off if you don't want. But if you get incoming calls, just the best practice, depending on the state that you're in, just let the person know, hey, this call might be recorded for training and training purposes, and we've never had anybody that said, hey, I don't want my call. It's pretty standard practice. So when somebody calls, you can have pre-recorded message be played. Hey, thank you for calling, let's say ABC company, just please know that the call is being recorded for training. It's a pretty standard. And the recording is stored in every single lead. So every contact that you talk to, David, the recording is going to be stored there. So if I go back, so if you look at my screen, so if I go into this right here, if I go right here, this is my, one of the contacts, and all the recordings are right here for that contact. So you never have to go looking for it. Whichever contact you want to say, let's say if I want to go into, this contact or Ironman, for example, I can see, I don't have any recording, but if I did, it would everything be in there. So you don't have to go it just organizes everything with that contact, whichever contact you're calling or texting, it will all be. So I can save a note right here, call the lead back in 2 days, for example, or I can set up a time for, just for this person, and it will always just stay here with this property. So I can go back, I can see all the notes, any notes my team is leaving at any given point. They can tag me on this and say, hey, Sharad, can you see kind of how do you want me to handle? So think of it like Slack, so we kind of use it like Slack for our business. For every property, think of it like every property is its own channel, in our system. Just kind of the way to think of it. So anytime we have a question about this property, my team would go in, they would go into this specific, channel, quote unquote, and they would tag me right here and say, hey, Sharad, can you look and let me know what you want to do with this? So I'll go and respond, and then we can just kind of go from there. If there's an important comment, they can pin it for me so it stays on the top. So I can go and just review that. And they might say, hey, can you just review the pictures? And then you can also send out, e-sign documents. And think of it like DocuSign, it's already built in. So I can just click right here, say send for e-sign. I can choose whichever document. I can fill out the information. Let's say this one goes to this, and then whatever the information is. So I'll fill it all out. I click send. It sends, to that person. Once they sign, the document will stay in that property. So everything that you need to, so think of it like, Google Drive or Dropbox, but everything is already organized for you by each property or each contact. So when you go in, everything that you need, your files, any documents that you've sent them, any notes, any recording is in that contact that you have for that person.
I love it. I love it. That's phenomenal.
Cool.
That's good stuff, man.
Yeah, it is. David, it is stored in the cloud. So it's stored in the cloud. So we use Amazon, AWS on the back end, just, for anybody that's technical. Yeah. So it's all stored in the cloud. It's not stored on our servers or database. Yeah. So it's not even stored on.
You're just sending it to the NSA, so they can listen to David's conversations. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
And there's no limit to number of properties or deals that you've got listed up there. Yeah, you're just working registered to the users, and then
exactly. Number of phone numbers. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So every plan that we have basically includes. So somebody starting out, $99 plan is like more than enough for them to get started. As they scale, they want to add team members, then we have plan for that. And people that are doing like very large scale business, then we have to plan for them to just unlimited team members. Yeah.
So this is a great service, guys, for you to upload. Taking in the list that we get from banks, you can upload in there, and even reaching out to the asset manager to potentially buy, or reaching out to potentially take down subject to deals, wrap around deals, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or at the same time, you guys that are pulling IRA investors off the county records, you can send your marketing campaigns out to them and track who's responding back to you and seeing what kind of lead gen you're getting from your postcards.
Exactly.
Back there for you for potential funding sources.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Exactly. Yeah, we have some people that are doing like pretty creative stuff, like wraparound mortgage. I don't even know. Okay, I'm just pretty simple. Like we make cash offers, we buy them, we close on them, we rehab them. So we're pretty clean business in that sense. But we have some people doing really super creative stuff. They're buying, they're doing a subject to and then like selling it on like lease option. I don't even know kind of what they're doing, but yeah, some really amazing creative stuff. Yeah.
Cool. We just had Derek Dombeck on from Best REI funding source out of Wisconsin. I think him and your team use your stuff there as well. So yeah.
Oh, awesome. Cool. Yeah.
Good stuff. Awesome. Well, any other questions, guys, before we let Sharad get back to his Sunday afternoon? Any other final
you guys
questions?
can always reach us by email. Then if you have any question, info@REsimpli.com. Yeah, so we're more than happy. If you guys want like a more in-depth demo, you can go to our website and book your demo, and somebody from our team will give you a demo. So if you have any questions on that, and then it comes with 14-day money back guarantee. For somebody to sign up, they're not happy with it, like no questions asked, and say, hey, it's not kind of what I was expecting. So if you can just cancel my account and refund, so we'll gladly do that.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, that's a beautiful thing. You were talking about that, or Matt and I were talking about that. I mean, there's no harm getting there, getting uploaded, see if it's getting work. Because that's one of the things that I think so many people worried about buying software or a CRM is, am I going to use it? And with like anything, you've got to spend time using it
exactly
to figure it out. And there's that learning curve. And so that's the good thing. You guys are getting a great discount too, as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's 50% off. If it doesn't work, we give you 100% of the money back that you paid. So no questions asked. But yeah, I mean, the whole thing is about just having a process, whether somebody uses our system, they use, Post-it notes and pen, like it just having a process that you can consistently follow day in, day out. We made a software that kind of, takes a lot of the work out of it, so you can just automate it. But even if you don't, just starting out, you want to use a notepad, Google Sheets, but just the key is like stay on top of it, just follow the process that you have.
And plus the fact the mobile app, you can take it anywhere with it, which is
exactly.
And seeing what's going on and assigning tasks while you're chilling on the beach drinking pina coladas.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
Good stuff, Sharad. Well, hey man, I appreciate you coming on, sharing it, and providing an amazing discount for our note campers out there. We'll be in touch the first part of this week. I'll be talking with you and Mass a little bit more next week. All right.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sharad. Talk to you later.
Bye.